Well, hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Jared. This is Justice's Waiting Room, a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. Couple things off rip I found out today. So, for many of y'all, we found out about a week ago about the president putting up fencing around the White House. And we sat around trying to figure out, like, why the fuck he put up fencing around the White House? Was it protest? Like, he's worried about people protesting? No, it's because the Ayatollah in Iran issued a fatwa, like called for his death. That's why he put fencing up around the White House, because he's scared of. And again, it feels racist to say it like this. I'm literally copying what someone else said. But someone else said clearly he's scared of like people with explosives strapped to them. So I wanted to share that with you because somebody pointed out here's where the fatwa was issued and here's when the fencing started going up, and you're like, oh, okay, okay. And also, um how do I get that to y'all? Want to get me? So that answers, I like answering questions that we had that we weren't really able to answer very clearly prior. Hey, that tracks. Okay. um and again, I want to point out we're talking about how someone else feels, Donald Trump specifically. So yeah, what the hell has become a wealth of information. Sarah Huff Sings is her actual name. I'll just share her. Um, she does a lot of research, doing a lot of good. Um, she pointed out, and I like to take what other people say and break it down Barney style, so everybody is like, oh, okay. So what she had explained in a video I watched that was shared in our Discord is that the big beautiful bill, the version that went through and got voted in the House and Senate, is not the finalized copy. So I think when you make a decision, right? I'm gonna go. Hope everybody's tracking this. When you vote on a bill as it's presented, and after it's passed, language in the bill changes, that's like a big deal, right? And so, What the Hill, or Sarah Huff, made a video where she talks about Medicare, Medicaid language. Okay, and so my mom worked in healthcare. I basically grew up in a nursing home. I did not stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night, and I am not a doctor. But the way What the Hill explained was a lot of people are about to lose their health care, right? In the bill that was presented to the floor, that was voted on, uh, the recommendation is 180 days warning. So you're supposed to know well before you lose your health care that you're going to lose your health care. And on the floor, they argued for this in the name of compassion to concede to 120 days, 4 months. So, hey, yes, we're banned. I was banned for saying that gay men told me that Donald Trump and Elon Musk are gay. And when they're doing good, they're not talking in the media. And when they're doing bad and they're breaking up and shit, it's all over the news. Totally old gay men. I got banned on TikTok for that. hmm hmm For a week. I'm not ashamed of it. A older gay man is a dude at the literal fucking grocery store told me while I was waiting in line in a grocery store. Trump was on the front page of some rag, and he's like, "This motherfucker." And I just turn around. I thought he was talking to me, and I'm like, "Me? Like, you can go ahead of me. I'm sorry." And he's like, "No, bro, Donald Trump." And I looked at Donald Trump, and he's gay as a $2 bill, right? Like the dude, he's wearing like flip flop, like a Hawaiian shirt and fucking matching non-cargo shorts and like nice flip flops. Gay. And he just points out, he was like, he's gay, right? And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, him and Elon. And I was like, like together? And he's like, like, oh, that kind of explains some shit. And he's like, yeah, they're like a old school gay. And I'm like, old school gay? And he's like, yeah, old school gay, they don't talk about it. And they would deny it if you asked them about it. And I'm like, I'm listening. And they're like, but they tend to be like repressed emotionally and sexually, especially because they're older, right? Equipment don't work like it used to, right? So what happens is that they're super dramatic and they are messy and they get shit everywhere. And again, that is what another gay man told. That's what another person told me, and I was like, oh, this totally explains their fucking behavior. Gabby said he has a picture of him on his desk in the Oval Office. The President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, has a picture of Elon Musk on his desk. I have a question. I have a follow up, Gabby. Is there a picture of his wife? Hey, hold on. Is there a picture of Melania? Is she on the. Is that just the most baloney ass name? Anyway, I don't know what just happened there. Melania? That sounds like something you get on you. Oh, he has a picture of Jeffrey Epstein on his desk? Yo, that's fucking crazy, bro. You know, what will never have on my walls? Pictures of myself. Just throwing that out there. No matter what I accomplish in my life, I can promise you I will never have a painting of myself made. hmm I'll never have a piece of art of myself on the wall. hmm remember, Melania wore that jacket that says "I don't care." Do you? Do you remember that? But yeah, the reason I brought up "What the Hill" is because what she's saying is like, hey, when you're calling your representatives and your senators and your reps, you got to be telling people, hey, I'm gravely concerned about people losing their Medicare, Medicaid. But I'm mostly concerned about the language change in HR one. It said in the original bill that they were going to give 120 days notice on kicking people off of Medicaid. They removed the language from the bill, and it used to require a human caseworker in order to end your Medicaid. And now, because of this bill and the language that changed between what was voted on the floor and what is actually in the bill that's on congress.gov, they eliminated the waiting period. So now, not only is there no caseworker going to touch your shit, they can also shut it off, meaning you have health care today and don't have health care tomorrow. That is a hell you do not want to live in. It's far different. It's far different when you get a 4 to 6 month warning and you get letters and letters and phone calls and you're told and you know that you have the ability to just change your health care in October every year. We know this, right? And so what they did was they obviously conceded some space. It was supposed to be 6 months. So I worked in healthcare, sorry. And if people were losing their healthcare January 1, they were finding out in June, in July. That's gone. That language is gone. It used to be 6 months. They conceded and made it 4 months. And now that language is gone. And now there's no need for human contact when reviewing your cases. This means they can just go in and mass fucking delete people and you'll be completely removed from the Medicaid system and no human being has had anything to do with that. Like on TikTok right now, because I have a strike on my account, AI reviews all the complaints against me, and that means any complaint against me is an automatic 1 week ban. Do you see the problem with AI now? You took away that first level of review. It doesn't exist anymore. The problem is rich people don't give a fuck about you. Rich people give a fuck about what makes me more money. And what makes the powers that be more money is restricting free speech. They cannot have smart people speaking out against them. They cannot have people saying, hey, you need to call your representatives and say, hey, you need to review the language around Medicaid and timeframes. That language was changed after you voted on it. And I'm sure you want to be the hero. I'm sure you want to know. Gabby, so that attitude's starting to piss me off. Here's why. Uh, HR 1, the amendment in HR 1 regarding cutting funding to Planned Parenthood, illegal. Now let me just say it into a camera real calmly. If the language regarding funding for Planned Parenthood was illegal, what else do you think is illegal in HR 1? And given that a judge yesterday said the language in HR 1 regarding the defunding of Planned Parenthood was illegal. As I said, even though this bill passes, exactly, Angie, final version hasn't been posted, but there's a version posted on congress.gov that's different than what was voted on the floor. Because What the Hill was watching it live when it was being read, and they were talking about the language around timeframes. That language is removed from what is posted on congress.gov. Hmm. Yeah, and they're adding things to the bill. There was an appropriations meeting on yesterday, sorry. Hmm. Yep. And so understand that the language on that bill is illegal. A federal judge is already ripping it apart, right? Yep. Yep. They're tweaking it after it's been passed. Can't do that. Can't do that. Republicans are going to run into a brick wall on HR 1. And hey, we're at least we're talking about it, right? At least we're pointing it out, and we know. Jared came to us this morning, and the first thing he said was, "Hey, I figured out why Donald Trump put up fencing around the White House is because the Ayatollah in Iran wants his head." Oh, cool, we learned that. Hey, what the hell? She pointed out that they're changing the language, and they took away timeframes in terms of Medicaid eligibility. It used to be 6 months. They conceded to 4 months on the floor, and it's gone. The language is being written by AI. Understand, you can tell when there's a lack of empathy, it's AI. A human can't do all this shit. Can't handle this shit. I'm telling you, unless you're fucking Russ Vought. And then and Todd Holman, apparently they sleep well. I can't believe that. That's why I put that clause in the bill to stop federal judges. Yeah, but cease. Did you hear what I said? A federal judge has already pointed out that the defunding of Planned Parenthood in H.R. 1 is illegal. And as I've said, and I care more about what. You hear what I'm saying? Like, they're already tearing it apart. Federal judges are already tearing it apart. I don't. If it looks blatantly illegal, it's illegal. A judge is going to tear that apart. Hmm? Hmm? Yeah. The anti-regulation of AI. You want to talk about being fucking lazy? Be a CEO and be pro AI. The thing about it is, no billionaire got to where they are using AI. You used people, and you've run out of fucking people. I'm telling you, they're running out of fucking people. RFK Jr. is getting sued. Doctors and public health organizations sue Kennedy over vaccine policy change. Oh, by the way, the death toll in Texas is over 100. This falls on Donald Trump. Donald J. Trump is responsible for more than 100 deaths in Texas as a result of his defunding of the National Weather Service and the NOAA. They're not sneaky at all. They're terrible. We are lucky that these people are fucking stupid. That's what we are very lucky. We are very lucky that these people are dumb as fuck. So, like, there's a reason that it's like turn off mainstream media, right? They're just lying to you. The billionaires that bought this election, they're trying to draw more power. As I've said, stop using their services. Facebook, Threads, IG, WhatsApp, Messenger, Twitter, all of it. Stop using that. Why? Because they're tracking you. So I'm doing it because it's in your best interest. Your continued usage of those sites is just putting you in danger. So, I mean, I've tried to tell you. I don't post on those sites, right? So if you stop watching the news and you stop visiting all them sites and you pay attention to what's actually going on, you know what? Democracy's kind of kicking Donald Trump's ass. He snuck little wins in here and there that they've made big deals. Like stopping nationwide injunctions. Do you know what that's you know what Donald Trump did? He hamstrung himself. Now he can't get a nationwide injunction allowing him to just deport people nationwide. And that pussy ass LARPing shit in LA yesterday, 90 fucking National Guardsmen, they were there on their own recognizance. There's no unit of measurement of people in the military that's 90. They did that on their own. Those people should be prosecuted. Those people should be kicked out of the military. Hmm. And For example, a lot of people have talked about being violent towards this regime. And I just wanted to point out this is how you end. Right here. Here's a story of a man with a rifle who decided to exchange fire with Border Patrol. The 27-year-old man with a rifle and tactical gear was killed Monday morning after exchanging fire with law enforcement officers at a Border Patrol facility in McAllen, Texas. Do you see what I'm talking about? They want you to be violent because there's more of them than you. And they want you dead. They want dead bodies. That's all they like to see. So don't present yourself to law enforcement with the intent to injure them. You fucking idiots. Holy shit. Do not become a fucking statistic. Did I see VA walks back mass layoffs? Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hmm. Hmm. And I think if you talk about being violent, you should have to go do it. I think if you, yeah, like, it's different when we're talking about ICE, right? When we're like, oh, they don't have real bullets in their guns, they don't have real warrants. You know what I mean? Fucking Border Patrol? DHS type shit? Hell no, man. Like, you understand not all government agencies are bad. And not all the people that work for these government agencies are bad. Yes, it's fucking bad when National Guard rolls up and they're in 17 fucking Humvees. Hey, somebody is losing their fucking job. Just so you know. That shit in LA, in that mostly empty park, by the way. Talk about a pussy show of force. How the fuck do you call it a show of force? Against whom? Vagrants? The fuck are you talking about? Gotta rewind about the Border Patrol. Yeah. I said there's people out there talking about violence, like being violent towards this regime. And I've said, like, violence isn't the way. Protest, boycott, and strike. Yeah, I don't think you roll up on them solo. That's what I'm saying. You don't roll up on Border Patrol solo and open fire. You're gonna get cooked. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. Like, if you're gonna go Wolverines. You know what I mean? Yeah, and it was a photo op. So all those military and fucking um, ICE and was it local PD? Was it LAPD too? Walking through McAllen Park, I think is an empty park. Bunch of pussies larping for a photo op. They're trying to rile up the masses. Donald Trump knows it's only a matter of time for all his shit gets exposed. So he's just trying to rally y'all up. So that 27-year-old who rolled up solo on a border patrol checkpoint and opened fire and got cooked. No, I don't feel bad for him, and I'm not giving him his props. It'd have been different if there'd have been a whole team of you motherfuckers and you took them down one each, right? And you did something. Instead, you didn't do anything. You just died. You just became a statistic. That's not. I'm not cheerleading that shit. Hell no. A lot of people that I've met out in the civilian world have said becoming a police officer is like police training is just like joining the military. And my uncle Frank was chief of police in Rising Sun, Indiana, and he was also an instructor at the Indiana Police Academy. And it's nothing fucking like boot camp. So just throwing that out there. So it's nothing like boot camp. And remember, ICE is white supremacists. It's Proud Boys, it's KKK, it's people that can't get jobs anywhere else. That's who's taking jobs with ICE. The unhirables. Because remember, they were only getting paid like 23K. And remember, they don't get that money for ICE, they don't get that right away. They don't get that till January 1. We're talking about now. No, it won't. No, it won't. I'm just telling you that there's no goddamn way you make ICE bigger than the Marine Corps. That ain't gonna fly. As I said just a few minutes ago, if defunding fucking Planned Parenthood is not legal, you think putting $160 billion into ICE is legal? Come on, Cease. Come on, Cease. No, it's not legal to do that. You cannot. The president does not have the power of the purse, so you can't. He can't do that. And also, it will be the biggest waste of money ever because they don't have enough people now. They're pulling from other agencies now, and other agencies are also deciding they're not fucking with ICE. Could have been is maybe acceptable here. Here's the El Salvador saying, I'm telling you it's illegal, and they're already ripping HR 1 apart. So, and remember, for them, it's not about results, it's about shock and awe, it's about the threat to do it. MacArthur, I said McAllen. But yeah, the Trump administration controls migrants in notorious CCOT prison. So understand, Kristi Noem, Donald Trump, all them, they're going to be held accountable for this one day, for sure. The El Salvadorian government is saying like, nope, Trump administration controls this. Like it's tariffs. He had no fucking clue. Yeah, all the tariff shit is just bullshit. It's bluster. That motherfucker Donald Trump fucked the stock market up. Bullshitting. I'm just letting y'all know. That's how fucking powerful the president of the United States is. He fucked the stock market up forever. Look at Tesla. Absolutely taking a fucking shit because of the power of the presidency. You go against the president, you fucking lose. Elon found out the fucking hard way. Detainees are starting to bitch about. I can't figure it out. I can't figure it out. I don't understand why people like Donald Trump. Nothing he does makes him likable. Like I keep in mind, I used to be a big UFC fan until I started meeting other UFC fans. and you're like, oh, it's a bunch of fucking wannabes. I'm good. What does who have on them? Does BB have on Trump? Trump have on BB? Money, for sure. That's why the U.S. bombed Iran, is because BB gave us more money. BB gave him more money. BB thinks about Trump when he sleeps? Yeah. Well, you got to remember, Donald Trump doesn't have that many supporters. It's what I tried to explain this whole like 6, 7 months we've been together. A social media firm did an audit of Donald Trump and Elon Musk's followings on all social media platforms and found that they're like 90% fake. Think about this. Let's say they both have $30 million, 30 million followers. That means 27 million each are fake and they only have a few million followers. That means they're less popular than like NFL players. There's a reason that it's like they say shit's going to happen, but shit kind of doesn't really happen. Yeah, yeah, they met it yesterday at the White House. By the way, deadly floods in Texas, to the surprise of fucking no one. Guess where Ted Cruz was? On vacation. That's right. Ted Cruz and his wife were spotted in Greece. Yeah, that's right. They got the fuck out of Dodge. Uh huh. Is Dodge in Texas? Ted Cruz also called for a better early warning system. Yeah, of course. Of course he did. You knew that was going to happen. Yeah. You absolutely knew if there's anything Ted Cruz that was going to do is he was going to get the fuck out of the way. Yeah, I love seeing men with their bravado. Okay, okay. This is so sad. Italian hero bomb sniffing dog killed with nail filled sausages. Abbott lost. His AG admitted if he hadn't interfered, Texas turns blue. Yeah, we just got to get more people interested in politics. Remember, we talked about Texas Hill Country, right? And the Mexican response. Firefighters from Mexico showed up in Ingram, Texas. Firefighters from Mexico have arrived in Kerr County, to help find survivors. Huh. Remember we talked about this? Bomb threats during the 2024 U.S. election. Bomb threats caused security breach during 2024 election in Riverside County. Remember how we sat around and said, how the fuck did this happen? Like, how did they get into all these places? Oh, bomb threats. They evacuated those buildings. They cycled the power. Somebody gets in with a badge, gets access to the network. Bada bing, bada boom, all the votes are changed. Hey, Brianna said good morning from McAllen, Texas. Hey, good morning. We're thinking about Texas all the time lately. Um, with all that's going on. Jesus Christ. And this is what I want you to not do. Okay? There's too many people out here that are unempathetic, right? That are, they'll look at a situation where they, oh, it's in Texas. Oh, they're getting what they voted for. Understand that uh, almost all states are split. Let me say it again. Almost all states are split. 55-45 or better. This means that if you think of this as a team sport per state, you don't give a fuck about the blue team in that state. You just say fuck that state cuz that state's red. That's that fucking red versus blue shit that I'm fucking talking about. Remember, it's rich versus poor. Remember I told you that. It's not left versus right. We are not divided on principles. I'm telling you, if you meet 100 people and you just ask 100 adult people, how do you feel about your healthcare costs? Well, they're fucking outrageous. My insurance sucks. It doesn't cover what it says it's going to cover, and it costs a bunch of money. Okay. Did you know in 33 of 34 developed countries, all these healthcare companies that operate in the United States have billions of dollars in profit, and they can offer you universal healthcare here in the United States? They could absolutely make that happen. Oh, I didn't know that. Cool. So, hey, how do you feel about saving that $3,000 or $4,000 individually a year on your healthcare costs? That would be fucking rad. Okay, cool. Now let's talk about your rent. How much do you pay a month in rent? You know what's fucking crazy? I about lose my mind when I talk to somebody that's paying less than $1,000 a month in rent. I'm like, holy shit, where do you live? You got it good, right? But most of the people I talk to are paying like $1,600 or more a month in rent. And it's like, hey, that's fucking absurd. My whole adult life, look at my lips, my whole adult life, I've never paid more than $1,000 a month in rent, personally. My whole life. In fact, when I met my wife and we rented a house, it was 850, and that was getting raised to 850. That's why we decided to buy, because we could just get a mortgage for $850, right? So what if I told you, well, what if we could establish in your locale uh, rent maximums? So these landlords say they can't live without making money. We say you can live with 75% less. And we say, how about instead of 1,600, it's $400, and that's the most they could charge you. Well, I would put $1,200 a month in my pocket. Okay, so now between universal health care and universal housing, where we make everyone's housing affordable, and we don't allow landlords to spike your fucking rent, right? No sudden changes, right? Well, there's a couple grand in your pocket. Do you have student loans? Have you ever talked to somebody about student loans? It's like a prison sentence. It's 20 fucking years. You feel like you can never get on top of the shit. And by the time you pay it off, you got to go back to school anyway. What if we just eliminated student loans altogether? Look at all these colleges completely getting rid of tuition. What the fuck do you need a student loan for if MIT's free? What do you need a student loan for if it's free to go to Harvard? Hey, right? You, only a socialist is going to say, hey, universal health care, education, income, and housing are part of my platform. And the pathway to that is the federal legalization of marijuana. Each state, each state that has already done so is operating with hundreds of millions of dollars. They're also blue as fuck. Those states that have legalized marijuana, almost entirely blue, operating with hundreds of millions of dollars in extra fucking money. I don't give a fuck about the dope game. What I give a fuck about is the money. And how do you pay for it is the big question about socialism, and always has been. Once you can get people to sit down long enough to understand that I am pro equality, I'm pro union, join a fucking union, and I want everyone to have universal health care, education, income, and housing. And that is a socialist. That's what socialism is. Once they realize that's what socialism is, mhm. Well, what about all this other shit? What about overthrowing the means of production? Well, there's different flavors of socialism. The one that I think that applies here is called syndicalism. So if you're looking to do any research on what flavor of socialism am I talking about, syndicalism, pro-union. All it means is when you're thinking about who would be a natural good political leader. Well, it's probably someone who is a leader within their union, right? Because it took some stones to union. It takes further stones to stand up, speak out, become a leader within a union. And then if you think about the role of a union leader, it's just to stand up for your people and to try to get them paid better and get them better health care. And probably not a bad elected official, as long as they don't get into thinking about themselves and thinking about how can I profit from my time in office. And one of the things that I can't fucking stand about politics on the whole is this whole everybody else is doing it, so I'm going to do it attitude, right? Insider trading and stock trading is not fucking illegal. So basically everybody's doing it, and the only people with any scruples is like AOC and Bernie, right? But one of the things I want to make sure that I bring up when I bring up Bernie Sanders is until someone is able to thwart, like completely invalidate the story that Bernie Sanders dismissed the voice of black voters during his run in 2016, I'm off him. That's how I feel about some shit. You make a racist fucking decision. Sorry, that now means you're a racist until you come clean, until you apologize. And so really it's like AOC, Jasmine Crockett, really, ladies. That's who we're looking for for inspiration, right? And we want to make sure we talk about in the same breath that we talk about Democrats, that we talk about how, hey, what I've said is going to come to fruition. And the greatest gift of all is Elon Musk gave it to us. The greatest, he's gonna fail. The America First Party, that shit is gonna fail because it's first of all, it's the American Fascist Party. Okay, that's what it's gonna get labeled as. Okay, he already bankrupted fucking Tesla. How the fuck do you bankrupt a car company in the United States? How the fuck? He's creating his own party he's taking all the money. MAGA is going to leave the Republican Party because I'm telling you, in order for the Republican Party to survive, they are going to have to reject Trumpism. They're going to have to reject this. And when they do, and Donald Trump goes to leave, in my eyes, what I was calling a split isn't a split anymore. Now it's in three pieces. Because now, in my eyes, all the youth and the money is going to the American First Party. So, young, white, cis males with money, fucking American First Party. That Republican Party, old people that don't like Donald Trump and don't fuck with Elon Musk, that are still racists. There's your Republican Party. They ain't winning shit. Now, MAGA. That's what you got to be worried about. When MAGA splits, and there ain't that many of MAGA, ain't that many of them. It's like 5 or 6 people. When they split and they leave, that's all the money for the Republican Party. So those MAGA, they still got enough money to win elections. All those other Republicans, they don't got the money, they don't have the money power they had. They stand against Donald Trump because he's gonna fuck up my constituents, and I had to. Morning UTC. What did UTC say otherwise? But yeah, so I think what Elon Musk did was further splinter the Republican Party. And what I'm afraid of is I don't think anyone that calls themselves right leaning, conservative, Republican, MAGA, or America Party, none of those people know what the fuck they're talking about. Having fucking money and being like a CEO, it just means you took advantage of people. That's all that is. And I think that the American people are going to vote Democrat, straight ticket, forever, ad infinitum, at like a 70% clip. And my fear is what's called the uniparty struggle. And what happens is when a party gets ousted, the Republican Party just gets absolutely decimated, which is what is going to happen when the split continues, as the split widens. And the American Party gets farther away from MAGA. And MAGA gets farther away from the Republican Party. Because I'm telling you, there are members of the Republican Party that are pulling back on the reins already. And they're saying, no, 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 we can't, fuck, what the fuck? People are voting against the big, beautiful bill, right? They're pulling back already and saying, no, 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 no. We're 6 months in. We're 6 months in. There are people saying, like, we don't have a platform to stand on if we don't stand against Donald Trump. And this is coming from inside the Republican Party. I'm telling you. And so these old fucking Republicans that are like, if we don't get a rein on Donald Trump, he's just going to get us, he's going to get us killed by our constituents. There are so many Republicans that can't go back home, yo. They can't go back where they're from. Now that we've long form railed on Republicans, and we've said, our piece, traitors, the lot of them, fuck them, all that shit, but be real about what is really happening, and that is the splintering of the Republican Party. Okay? It will ultimately lead to its dysfunction. Them motherfuckers are not winning an election that they don't cheat at ever again. And again, it's everyone on that side. They're just not winning shit. I'm telling you. They're not winning it unless they cheat. Okay? Now the Democrats, the problem with the Democrats historically is that it's a what have you done for me lately thing. The only people that are going to get like leadership positions and be pushed to the forefront of the Democratic Party are the people that have put in the time, right? And there's like a pecking order within the Democratic Party, and that's your problem. That's your problem right there. Is not recognizing that politics is about FaceTime too. It's about your not the not your phone. It's about giving FaceTime. You know. So when the Republican Party falls apart and the Democratic Party continues its ways, think Jerry Connolly, right? Think about the what was the guy from Arizona that died? They didn't even fucking talk about him in the news, and I told you it's because he's fat and he's a Latino man. Even though he'd been a faithful Democrat for like 36 years and held a bunch of offices and was responsible for voting for a bunch of important legislation, dude, I didn't hear his name fucking anywhere else other than on this show where I said like Ruben, right? Wasn't that his name? Or I'm probably making some shit up. But there was a fat Latino man that was an elected official in the southwest part of the country that died. And I was like, oh, rest in peace. Like, oh, this. I didn't hear a single fucking Republican say, rest in peace, Jerry Connolly. You know what I mean? Rest in peace, this 36-year elected official in fucking Texas or Raul. Yes, thank you. Grijalva. Not a fucking one of them. Where's Bernie Sanders saying Raul, right? Rest in peace, Raul. Thank you for 36 years of faithful government service, right? Not a fucking word. Why? Because racism is fucking alive and well in this country. hmm And that all these elected officials are afraid. They're afraid to say, like, I don't look at the color of someone's skin and instantly judge them based on character. I judge you by your words and your actions. hmm If you're a racist piece of shit, I don't want anything to do with you. It's that simple. Matter of fact, sexism is like a bigger thing for me. A big fucking no no is like if you're a leader of people and you're sexist, oh, I fucking hate it. Because you're teaching that shit. You're like teaching it to other people. Be disrespectful to women, make them understand that you're the man and you're in control. And it's just like, would you follow you? Yeah, I don't really fuck with that shit. So that's what I'm saying. We got to have people decide, I'm going to run for political office. There's only 535 seats. And if you understand not being afraid and empathy, right? Of being courageous, right? Of having the balls to stand up for what's right, we need an age max. No more old people. I'm for that, except that that's ageist, right? I don't think age equals experience. I think it is what it is. If you're a good leader, if you're charismatic, if people like you, and you're doing awesome, you're like the man. And instead, they'll make that guy like 15th in command with 14 old farts above him, browbeating the shit out of him. You're liberal, you're leftist. Da, 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 da. Like the fuck, get these fucking old turds out of my way that are just taking money from oil companies and AI pack. Like that's the reality that we're in. Is that there's too many people that are like get into they become an elected official, they get into office, they see what everybody else is doing, and they say fuck it. Everybody else is insider trading and stock trading and shit. That's what I'm gonna do, right? And yes, yes, it was not a doctored video. I actually halfway expected that it was a doctored video of Donald Trump giving the Sig Heil on the White House balcony on July 4th, but the motherfucker gave the Sig Heil on July 4th from the White House balcony. He actually did that shit. I watched that shit played back on Fox. Yeah, yeah. Remember that. Remember, no matter what they tell you, this is a nation of immigrants. Immigrants built this country. And if you're a white person, you are an immigrant. You're the son or daughter of an immigrant. You're a granddaughter, great granddaughter, grandson of an immigrant. Yep. Hmm. There are no indigenous white people. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they were talking about the big, beautiful bill wouldn't have passed if those three Democrats hadn't died in office, which is crazy to think about. Yeah, Crystal, one of the things I want to point out about what happened in Los Angeles is the moment resistance showed up, they left. They bugged out. That tells you that they did not have real bullets in their guns. They're LARPing. Hmm. Yeah, Debs, I don't watch the news either. Just so everybody understands, it's not like I was sitting around waiting for the president to speak on the 4th. But I had originally seen just the video of him and Melania when he does the Sieg Heil. And it was just so doctored, right? There was so much going on, and I was just like, is that real? And then I actually saw the Fox feed where it's Fox News, and you could totally see Donald Trump do fucking Sieg Heil off the White House balcony. Yeah. Yeah. It was staged as fuck. It was basically an empty park. Again, this is me straight up saying there's not an ICE agent that I wouldn't beat the piss out of. They're all fucking pussies and larpers. Uh huh. Yeah, they're all the people that wouldn't have made it in the Marine Corps. And that was playing off that dude with the MAGA hat on that said there's not a liberal I wouldn't spar with. I don't spar. Fight or die. What the fuck you talking about? Waiting for justice is also horrible. Way overdue for justice. Yeah. Here's Christy Nome bragging about using FEMA funds for Alligator Alcatraz after that Texas flood that's killed over 100 people. Remember that there will be consequences. Remember, if you're like protesting, right? You're exercising your First Amendment rights, and in the government any way impedes in that, it's a violation of First Amendment. So if you let's say you're allowed to protest on the sidewalk where you are, and you're on the sidewalk, and a police officer comes up and pushes you off the sidewalk and tells you to get the fuck out of that area. You have a permit. You're allowed to protest on the sidewalk. Cop assaulted you. All you got to do is make sure you get video on that, get a badge number, and somebody will take that pro bono. Because there is a whole lot. There are a whole lot of recently terminated attorneys in the United States that are going to need work. And one of the things that overwhelmingly has kind of endured has been judges, and the courtroom has endured this regime. And here's the thing, I've never been a big buyer of colognes and perfumes, but isn't $244 like astronomical in terms of cost for a cologne? Like when I was young, I mean, I was trying to get in and get out as cheap as possible. I can go in and get a bottle of Curve for less than 20 bucks. Fuck, we talking about $244. That's such a rip off for like watered down rotten fruit or whatever. I couldn't even tell you what kind of cologne I like or where. Although I do love the smell of like cologne or perfume. I like it. Hmm? I've just been married long enough. The most I get out of my wife is, "Did you take a shower? Have you washed your ass?" Exactly, Crystal. Exactly. Crystal said, I had a thought about this administration. These people are so dumb, they wouldn't even know if they're being investigated. Remember, this administration does not get daily security briefings. Neither does Donald Trump. He actually only gets those once a week, and he frequently skips those too. So keep in mind, they do not pass those background checks. They do not have access. Nope. I know what you're talking about. One of my favorite colognes, but I can't even remember what it's called. That's how not into cologne I am. I think Prime Day starts today. I was kind of hoping this was one of the sitting on their phones doing nothing. Cool Water. I think that was a cologne. Oh my God, makes me think of a song. Unaware. Have you ever heard of Alan Stone? You guys like Alan Stone? This is a hot ass song, by the way. Hope you like music. Not running out of shit. It's just been more than you own. In my perfect ways, said to me, and keep a close eye on your authority. Yes, you say that you care. I was unaware. He's a great fucking falsetto. You say that you care. And I was unaware. Shouldn't be father. It's a badass song though. But it made me think about how this administration has no fucking clue. That's why I like that song. I was unaware. They're just completely oblivious to the fact that like half of those provisions in the big beautiful bill are like fucking blatantly illegal. And not only was the parliamentarian tearing that shit apart, Donald Trump kind of pushed her out of the way, pushed this shit through anyway, and then she just knew, like a federal judge is gonna take like they're gonna take an axe to this, Don. They're just completely unaware. Oh, you talking about me fucking up singing? I can I do not have the range of Alan Stone. When they like belt and they, I don't have the lungs for that. I'm a pot smoker. What are you talking about? Sonic songs? What is a Sonic song? You say that you can. I was unaware. I love that shit. You say that you care. Oh, I was unaware. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think about. Endless possibilities. Sonic Colors Reach for the Stars. They're making a Sonic the Hedgehog secret lair set, or they did. It already came out. They made like 5 or 6 cards for Magic the Gathering. Yeah, like Sonic, Tails. Hmm. But yeah, remember, like the president can write an executive order. They could pass a fucking bill. There could still be shit illegal in that bill that will get struck down by a judge. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. See, there is no absolute power. There is no such thing as absolute power. And that's why Elon Musk dropped the fuck out of politics, or at least for the time being, because it didn't matter what they wanted to do. They were not being allowed to do shit. They were breaking into places. They're on the cusp of breaking the law in order to gain access. And there are far more powerful people than even the president. Like we were just talking about a few minutes ago about the Senate parliamentarian. Who the fuck? That person could decide your shit's illegal. Here's what I think. I don't think one person should stand in the way of everyone else's liberty. You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't think one person should be able to strike down a bill that legalizes marijuana federally. I don't think one person should be able to strike down healthcare. I kind of think that person should die. If I think if I think everyone should have universal health care and I do all this work and I get a whole bunch of people elected and we're all trying to give us all universal health care and there's one person that's in our way, kill him. Like you're choosing mass death from the rising costs of healthcare over giving everybody free healthcare. You deserve to die. Yes, I'm choosing all of us over you. Hmm. That's how it should be. Because people don't just change their minds. Remember, remember what I told you about the people that are talking to themselves about being a Republican. Or I was raised a conservative. Hey, you know what happened? The racists took their fucking masks or put their masks on, whatever, like put their hoods on, and the Republicans said it's too much like looking in a mirror, and they ran, and they've how could you vote for this? Oh, oh, I can't. Yeah, okay. Bernie's the only Democrat to get an anime intro. Yeah, that's what I was saying this morning, Debs. If the defunding of Planned Parenthood is illegal in the current big beautiful bill, and a federal judge already struck that from the bill, think about all the other shit that you know that's in that bill. Think about the defunding of Planned Parenthood getting struck from HR 1 after it passed. How they're trying to doctor the bill after the fact, right? So if you're downloading the Five Calls app and you're calling your state reps and your fucking senators, you might want to be laying it on them. Hey, they changed the language. Gabby said, I'm waiting for Elon to have a really bad day and spill the beans on the election. Oh, it's coming. Waltz with one majority got shit done. Sentiment justified, not letting one person get in the way. Yeah. Are you laughing at me trying to sing and sucking because I cannot sing? I can't sing the bass and the falsetto and the tenor. I can do falsetto and tenor. I can do tenor and bass, but you are not going to catch me singing falsetto, tenor, and bass in a song. I don't have the lungs or the fucking. I don't have the singing ability. Okay? Doesn't mean I don't love the music. I don't feel it. Right? And not like I don't sing it under my breath. Yeah, and that's what they've said. Like, when this regime is over and the next regime comes in, what do you think they're going to do? Today, your prime day is 8 to 11. Yo! Watch that video from PBS Terra. That's one of my favorite YouTube channels. Oh, let's talk about weather. I think today was one of the days that we're okay. I don't think it's just going to be hot. Oh, never mind. There was an earthquake. There's an earthquake. There was a 5.0 earthquake on the western coast of what appears to be South America. All right, so in the U.S., fire, literally fire, from the Dakotas straight down. So like Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, North and South Dakota, Nebraska, you are not on fire. But fucking New Mexico, there's Denver, there's Seattle, Salem, Washington, Oregon, California, got a big old fire hazard in Los Angeles. Nevada, New Mexico, y'all are on fire. Helena, Montana, Montana as a whole, that bitch is on fire. Um, but yeah, Arizona, New Mexico, y'all are on fire. That's the risk. In the western third of the left part of the United States, y'all are on fire. In the middle part of the country, which is where I feel like I live. I feel like I live in the Midwest. I think that people say the Midwest extends to Pennsylvania. I don't know how I feel about that. But there is a line of storms basically from the Great Lakes to Houston, moving eastward. I feel like that was a pretty good weather report. There's also some fucking rain around the Gulf Coast near Houston, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Mobile, Tallahassee, Gainesville, that whole coastal, that Gulf Coast. Y'all are all under getting some rain. I don't know what to call this area of the United States, but I feel like it has a name. It's like the intersection of a million states.
All right, let's get an update on the ongoing flood warning for parts of South Dakota.
And there's flood warning all over too. I'm just not listening to it with volume. Yeah, the video I watched Ryan Hall yesterday was talking about how hot it's gonna be. I went out. I'll be honest with you though. I went out this morning to walk the dogs, and it was like the nicest day it's been in a while. So yeah, remember we are less than 10 days away from the next sort of big protest is July 17th. Okay, which is a fucking Thursday. So awkward. Yeah, it was under 70 degrees this morning when I went out to take the dogs. You should see these dogs when it's not fucking dumbass hot outside. They strut. They're so happy to be on a walk and they want to go on a walk. When it's fucking hot, dude, these dogs will run and they'll be like, fuck all this. Like, nah, nah. So, like I said, it was like 68 degrees this morning when I took the dogs out. They were loving life. Longest walks they've been on for a while. But yeah, other than that, it's going to be a hot bitch. So, 101 on Thursday and Friday. Debs, where are you? That it's going to be 100 degrees 2 days in a row? Yeah, 80, 80, 81 at the height of the day sounds fucking great. The older I get, the more Michigan sounds great. Oh yeah, I mean we've had 2 weeks of weather in the 80s and 90s. We need Well, we've also had rain too. You're in Northern California. Yep. Sacramento. I love Sacramento. The Kings gave the Pacers Tyrese Halliburton. Great job, Sacramento. It's supposed to be 80s all week. See, like I said, 80s I could do. Yeah, Debs said she lives in Sacktown. Debs and Iron in the Valley, yo. Y'all should get up and do lunch and take pictures. Post it in the Discord. If you are Honduran or Nicaraguan, Gabby said, I thought Debs lived in Tampa for some reason. Better Cali than Florida, that's for sure. I don't know if I already posted this. Did we talk about this today? Measles cases highest in like 33 years. Yeah. And you know the best place to plan those meetups would be in our Discord. Oh, and something fun. I wanted to spend the last few minutes talking about this. So, one of my friends, um, his nickname is Space Boy, texted me yesterday and was like, "How are you? I miss you. I love you. All that shit. Um, I want to invite you to play like D&D with us at your house. So I'll be like on my computer at my desk like this, playing like D&D and team tactical RPGs. I think it's really interesting. It's not something that I have experience with at all. But when someone says, "I want to include you," all you need is an internet connection and your camera, and you can play with us. So I am thinking about streaming that. It'll be on Sundays. It'll be from like 10 a.m. to like 1 or 2 p.m. So it's just like 2, 3 hours. Um, but I've never done it before. But getting asked, oh, chat's behind. But yeah, so it's not just D&D because he would have just said like, "Do you want to play D&D?" But basically, a group that was getting together and playing isn't playing any like they fell apart. So he was like, "Hey, do you want to play?" And I was like, "I just happen to have Sundays off. I would absolutely love to. I'm gonna probably stream in that because I think it's interesting, right? Um, and I wanted to share that with y'all. Um, because I'm sure one of the things about community is people want to drag along with you, right? They want to go wherever you go. So I'm sure we'll run into a situation where we'll need a replacement. We'll need someone to stand in, or we'll need to add someone to our party. Um, yeah. And every day we start this show with War by Edwin Starr. And then to end the show, Wake Up Kids. Ain't nothing really changing but the date. You last time, no baby. I didn't know this song was called Kashmir by Led Zeppelin. Yeah. I've got a hell of a little playlist too. Oh, this is one of the. I'm telling you, the beginning to fucking War Pigs gives me goosebumps. Just that fucking guitar whining. Anyway, have a great day. It's my day off. Maybe I'll start a new character on Final Fantasy today. One of the things about it, anyway, I'll just have to play it. Getting out of here on War Pigs, it's tough. Generals gathered in their masses. Evil minds and plot destruction. Yeah, have a good day. To mankind. Oh, no, no. What else does Jared like today?
Let's get one thing straight. It's not a
One of my favorite songs of all time. Incubus, Pardon Me. Anyway, I'll keep going forever.